This is the Solo Coach podcast, where it's all about everything you need to build your business solo. Look, building a business alone can feel almost impossible. There's just so much to get done. That's just your doubt talking. I'm Michelle Sarah, and I'm here to talk you through building a one-woman coaching business from the ground up. I'm talking marketing, time-saving systems, AI shortcuts, client attraction, energy, and belief, all to help you find your way, no matter your age, stage, or starting point. Ready? Let's get going. What I now know about consistent growth, clarity, and coaching success after stumbling my way through every phase of the level up journey. There's this version of me that honestly believed if I just bought one more course or one more template or one more proven system, I'd finally feel like things were working. I'd wake up one day with the perfect offer, the clients pouring in, the clarity, and the momentum that would carry me forward into or with a very well-oiled machine. What actually happened? I stayed stuck in a loop, a very expensive and emotionally exhausting loop. Eventually, I stopped searching for the thing and started looking at what was working and what wasn't and where my energy was bleeding out. Let's get into this a little bit further. Recently I was traveling and I did get a lot of my content pre-scheduled before I left, which felt really good. However, I wish that I had pre-scheduled more because I came back and I was so very exhausted and taken out of my daily routine that I found it really difficult to get back into the flow of things. Really difficult. My energy was low. I was kind of discombobulated, right? What day is it again? Like what am I supposed to get done today? What, in my content stack am I supposed to be working on? And I had to come back to the framework. This is the thing that I always come back to that helps me to get straight again. Everything that I have learned over the years, and whether it was when I worked behind the scenes of these multi-million-dollar coaching companies, or whether it is in building my own coaching business, that I realized that, and I've probably shared this before, we do have these growth drivers that are absolutely necessary that you have set up in your business so that it can grow, right? You have to build something that is designed to grow. Most coaches, when they're starting out, or even for that matter, they could be several years into it, and their business just isn't set up to grow. And of course, they're not growing, or they're experiencing these peaks and valleys, right? They get a couple of new clients that come in and they're on cloud nine and everything's wonderful. And then months and months and months go by of nothing. And that is because they don't have the growth drivers in place. And it doesn't matter whether you are brand new, you've been in it for a few years, or for that matter, it's this, multi-million-dollar coaching company. The growth drivers are all the same. This understanding that I gained through the work that I did for others as well as myself became my level up framework. And it's not really a checklist and it's not really a blueprint, but it does serve as a checklist or a blueprint from time to time, right? So for example, coming back from these travels and just being so very exhausted and worn out and discombobulated, I can then turn to this framework as a checklist and say, okay, let's get back on track. Start with the first one, right? It's a way to spot what needs attention. It's like the lens to look at your business through when you're off the track, or you feel like nothing is working, or you've been traveling and you're wiped out, right? It's a way to grow steadily and consistently. It's like putting your intention and attention in growth drivers always. So even if you're, working on email marketing right now, but then tomorrow you're going to look at list growth, that those are growth drivers. And at least the energy you're putting into the work that you're doing is towards growing your coaching business. And this is what I have always been teaching and guiding through, especially like in my mastermind, is this framework. And it's actually what my next book is about. It's what I am working on currently. So here's what I've learned from living inside this for years and why it still holds me steady no matter what's going on externally. Because, hey, life is life. And sometimes we have we dealing with a whole lot of hard stuff, heavy stuff, right? None of us get to escape it. It's going to come around. That's the way life is, right? So it's also really nice that in those moments, you have something very grounding and stable to come back to for your business. Most coaches are focusing on the wrong fix. And honestly, I mean, because I've certainly been there, it's because you don't know what the right fix is, but you're not going to stand still, right? You're determined to do something and work on something. If you're like most coaches, you're trying to do your way out of a feeling. I laugh because I still do this from time to time, right? You're trying to do your way out of a feeling, right? Things don't feel great. Whether it's something you've got going on personally or you're in a lull in your business, something didn't work the way you had hoped it would. And instead of processing that feeling and kind of breaking it apart and reframing, managing your own mind, you're going to just try to do your way through that feeling. You think you need a better strategy, or maybe you need more content or a different offer altogether. And I can tell you from experience, that's rarely the case. But it isn't to say that you never will or this will never be the case, but it's usually true that you don't need to go changing everything. Right? You don't need to do more necessarily. You just simply need to look at these growth drivers, this framework that I'm going to share with you, and determine where you feel really strong and where you don't, and put your intention and attention there. Let me show you what I mean. Here's what I now see when I look at my own business and the ones that I help grow. List growth is number one, right? Without an audience to see your work, gain from your wisdom, and ultimately purchase from you, you really have nothing but a whole lot of busy work and distractions. So list growth is always number one. Now, further on is energy. And, energy is the umbrella for all of it. Outside of energy, you're going to always start at the top of this list. List growth. How's that going? Are you growing your list regularly every single month? Email marketing. You have this community, right? You have this list. Are you communicating to them regularly? And by regularly, I mean not once a month, not even twice a month, but at least once a week. And I would love to see more. Visibility. You think it's about being everywhere? Not necessarily. I experiment with a lot of different modalities for visibility to find what works really well for me. But if you can tap into visibility efforts that are perfect for you and saturated with your audience, you don't need a lot. Energy, as I said, this overrides everything. This goes from mental energy. Do you have the mental energy and bandwidth to do what you need to do today or this week? Do you tap into your ability to manifest, to create what you want? And if you're struggling with that, if you're struggling with keeping your vibration high, then mind management comes in next, because that's the part that explains to you, and the part that I teach, what's actually going on in your brain. Has the chimp totally hijacked your brain? And these are things that you need to understand so that you can better manage your own state of mind, vibration. Lead to sales. So this is all about your offers, your offer stack, or how you build capacity for your audience to move through your offers and ultimately to your top tier offer, right? Or your high ticket offer, whatever the case may be. Are you building their capacity to take every step along the way and reach their own big desired outcomes? That's the ultimate service that we can provide as coaches. Upgrade your skills. Now, there is a dark side to this, because I see this a lot with coaches who are stuck in learning mode, perpetual learning mode. I just need to take one more course. I just need to take one more program. That holds them in this cycle of not really launching and not really getting their business out there because they don't feel that they know enough. And trust me, you may never know enough, whatever enough means, right? We can always learn more. And I love learning. Like, left to my own devices, that's probably all I would do anyways, but it can hold us back. And so trust that you know enough right now to take the very next step and to get going, and don't get stuck in that. However, this is part of my framework, because as I'm going through this, like list growth, email marketing, visibility, energy, lead to sales, upgrading my skills, hold up, let me check in. Is there something that I need to learn in order to move forward? Are my skills lacking somewhere For example, someone who has never sold before, do they need to learn a little bit about how to have a sales conversation or the different ways that they can sell? For that matter, do you need to learn how to write copy? Now, I know we have AI to do that for us, but if you don't know what structural components need to be in the copy that lead to something converting or actually selling, it might help you to learn a little bit or the basics about copywriting. These are just examples. Know what your skills are, know where your skills aren't, and do you need to do something to shore up those skills? Balancing it with, or is that just a distraction, right? And the last thing is practicing consistency, because consistency is by far the most important growth driver for any of this. So even for energy, like if you don't have daily practices in place to build and nurture and maintain your energy consistently, then none of the other stuff's going to get done. So practicing being consistent. I want you to be growing your list consistently. I want you to be emailing your list consistently. I want you to be getting visible, bringing visibility to your business and your work consistently. I want your energy to be taken care of. Consistency, knowing that sometimes we're going to have low days, like coming back from traveling. I want your offers and your selling to be consistent. I want you to be upgrading your skills consistently as it pertains to what's needed to keep your business growing. And I caution too, because I don't want you to feel like that you need to master all of these 7 points right now. Not at all. I don't want you getting bogged down in that. I want you to use this as a tool to say, am I doing work that is going to grow my business? And if you're in one of these categories, then yes, you are. The point here is to see which part is quietly asking for attention and put your energy there. I always check in with energy first, of course, because that dictates how any of the rest of it is going to go or whether it gets done at all. And then go from the top of the list down, as I said, checking in with each step. Clarity comes when you know what's out of sync rather than a feeling of frustration and saying nothing is working. What specifically isn't working, right? What's out of sync? Here's what I know. Most of the time when I felt stuck or overwhelmed, it wasn't because I wasn't doing enough. It was because one piece of the level up system or framework or puzzle was off and I didn't know it. So I would just run off in this direction doing this busy work that didn't really do any good anywhere, right? Because I know I needed to do something. This shows you what you need to do. So my energy was being used up by things that weren't moving me forward. For example, I kept changing my offer over and over, thinking that that was the problem, when actually I wasn't growing my list and therefore I wasn't promoting my offer to anyone consistently. I didn't have enough people to actually see the offer. Or when I was just starting out and I had a very tiny list, my list is still small, but it was even smaller in the beginning, right? Just 100 people maybe. And I was making my offer. And after a while I was like, nobody's buying. Well, that's the same people are seeing the offer over and over again. There isn't any new, fresh eyes coming in, right? Another time I was struggling to stay consistent and I wasn't getting any new clients or sales as a result. My energy was drained because I was trying to be everywhere without first mastering consistency. And so list growth, email marketing, all of that, you want to become consistent and get to a place that you can maintain that consistency before you move on. I now use Level Up as a kind of internal diagnostic tool. I literally check in and ask, am I showing up with the kind of energy I want people to feel? Am I creating a connection or just broadcasting content? Do I feel clear on what I'm offering and who it's for? Do I need a skills upgrade or just to apply the ones I already have? Is my consistency rooted in sustainability or panic, fear, or lack? Knowing what to do next is how you generate momentum. And when you can do that over and over again efficiently, you give life to that momentum and it begins to create itself. It begins to create growth. Coming back again to the point that we need to be building a coaching business that is designed to grow, that is set up to grow. Okay. And these 7 steps, these are all growth drivers. So this means more engagement, more conversations, more sales, more clients. And well, as I said, growth. Big growth comes from micro wins. One of the most freeing things I ever realized was this. You don't need a massive breakthrough. You need just a micro win in the right place. It's what keeps us moving forward. One week, I created a low tier offer that I had sudden clarity, energy around, and I got 3 sales in that week. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but coming from 0 to 3 in the week was like, wow, okay, this is cool. This works, right? Another time, I added a single line to my PS in an email, and someone booked a one-to-one session that led to a client. Tiny moves, real momentum. That's how Level Up works in real life, especially if you're a solo coach trying to build something meaningful without a full team or unlimited time. Who has that, really? It gives you a place to look when things feel off or you feel like nothing's working. That's a really good indicator that you need to take a closer look at very specific growth drivers in your business and ask which one needs attention, or do they even exist at all? And a way to come back into alignment with what actually moves the needle. So where do you start? Well, ask yourself this: is my energy solid? If not, find out what's draining it and address that. Rest and refill. And then start at the top of that list with list growth. Don't look at the 7 steps and pick one that you think should be working on. That's not the way this is designed. Remember, this is after a good 17 years of being in the industry and looking at what was really working well for these companies and in what order, and then carrying that through into my own business and then observing it in many other coaches' businesses. They're in this order for a reason. For example, if you're not actively growing your list, your emails aren't going to get enough new eyes. Your offers will have already been seen, right, by people who aren't taking action on it. That doesn't mean that nobody wants what you're offering. It means you haven't gotten it in front of enough people. I just had a conversation earlier today with a coach, and when I went through this framework with her, we went through list growth. Yes, list is growing steadily every month. I'm emailing every week. I could probably email more, but I am emailing every week. Visibility is good. I have blog articles out there. I'm also in person in classes, so on and so on. Energy is, so-so. I do need to give some attention to it, but it's okay. And then we got to lead to sales, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm not really making offers in my emails at all. So ding, 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 there you go. There's a really good bit of insight into how this can not be working. Someone's doing all the right things, it seems, and things aren't working well. And she's missing this one key ingredient, this one key growth driver, right? So you don't need to overhaul your business. You just need to know where to look and what to take action on, what to bring your intention and attention to. And this framework, this Level Up framework, is your tool now too. Okay? When you have this, you control your growth gently, powerfully, and sustainably. That's how we level up around here. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for the Solo Coach podcast. It means so much to me that someone out there is listening. Now, if you know it's time to do something different about your business, and you know if it is, consider joining me for my Happy and Successful Business Mastermind, where you can get clarity, support, and a plan. I'll leave details in the notes below. I also want to share a free resource for you. If you haven't already subscribed to my newsletter, Find Coaching Clients, I encourage you to do so. I'll deliver to your inbox tips and strategies that make finding coaching clients for your business much easier. I'll see you next time.